Almost 5 years from the night when Justine Abshire was found lying dead on this dark country road, her husband would finally stand trial for her murder.
As we speak, we're awaiting trial. What do you want out of trial?
The truth.
Out of the process?
The truth. I want to know.
It's the truth and I want justice.
It had been a long wait for Justine's parents, who had come to believe the worst about the man who married their daughter.
My personal belief is that Eric intended to kill her when he married her. He had made up his mind before they even got married that at some point he would do that.
They knew, though, that there was a big gulf between what they believed and what could be proved at trial. There was no eyewitness to the murder, no confession or physical evidence linking Eric to the scene.
I know that circumstantial cases are hard to win. I know this was a difficult case. They didn't have the smoking gun.
Prosecutors Diana Wheeler and Rick Moore were committed to finding justice for the Swartz family. But it had taken them so long to bring the case to trial because they knew they had only one shot at a conviction. If Eric Abshire was acquitted, double jeopardy kicked in. He would walk out of this courtroom forever a free man.
A guilty vote was not guaranteed in this.
No.
No.
The prosecution's theory was that Justine had been strangled but was clinging to life when Eric ran her over and placed her in the road as part of an elaborate plot to stage a hit and run for the insurance money payout. The problem with this theory was that it raised as many questions as it answered. Reporter Courtney Stewart covered the trial.
You really don't even have a crime scene where, if she did not die on that road, where did she die? They don't know. They were never able to determine where this happened or even exactly what happened. They're just quite certain that she's dead and he did it.
The prosecutors called their witnesses. The medical examiner told the jury what he believed had caused Justine's death. Other witnesses testified about cell phone records and insurance policies, while Justine's friends and family talked about the troubled marriage. And there was that parade float builder who said he inadvertently helped Eric get his wife's car out to the crime scene that night. At the end of their case, the prosecutors felt they'd done the best they could with what they had.
It was all the evidence together, and he's the last person to see her alive, the first person to find her, the only person to have any access to her between 7 p.m. and 1 in the morning.
But Charles Weber, Eric's defense attorney, would dissect the prosecution's case. He told the jury that even if his client wasn't always a model husband, it didn't make him a murderer.
The case is not about emotion. It's about facts and about evidence. It's not a beauty contest. It's not a personality contest.
He challenged the medical examiner's finding that Justine could have been strangled and then run over.
It's fallacious. That's just not supported by
Medically, scientifically, you do not see that.
I do not see that scientifically.
And the defense attorney called his own forensic pathologist to the witness stand to pose an alternative theory for how Justine died. He testified that Justine was struck on the road by a large vehicle that hit her hard enough to propel her through the air.
It would have been sufficient to do a snap of the neck, which would account for the neck injury. So
Causing instantaneous death, virtually.
it's an area of the spine that is attached directly to the primitive portions of the brain that control heartbeat and breathing, and it would cause that to stop immediately.
So scientifically, medically, you're saying there's no reason to believe she wasn't standing in that roadway.
The evidence from our perspective cannot rule out the possibility of a hit and run.
And Weber said there was a report of a large vehicle on the road that night that could have caused Justine's grievous injuries.
There was a witness that said there was what they called a jacked up Toyota, and yet somehow that vehicle disappears and nobody ever sees it and the police don't see it.
He also didn't believe the story of the parade float builder, who said he got lost and ended up in Abshire's driveway that night. Weber wrote him off as a wannabe, a guy way too far off course for someone who'd lived in the area for years.
There's so many holes in it, it's unbelievable.
The prosecutors had also argued that Eric's cousin Tracy was mistaken when she testified that she saw him at the hospital late the night Justine was killed. But the cousin held firm.
At trial, they would say, you know what, we think you're confused about your evening.
I'm not.
You were at the hospital that night,
Yes.
not the night before.
No.
And the family was lined up saying their goodbyes.
Yes.
And Eric was there.
Yes.
Eric's family believed he was wrongfully accused.
He tells me he's innocent.
Did you ask him flat out, did you do it?
Yes. And he said no.
As the case headed to the jury, reporter Courtney Stewart thought it too close to call. She could see how the defense may have seated the jury with reasonable doubt.
How can you convict somebody when there is not one shred of physical evidence tying him to this? I mean, how can you be sure?
You hear the courtroom buzz was this guy very well may walk this.
Exactly. I mean, it's tough. A circumstantial case, when there's no physical evidence, no eyewitness, no nothing, you know, I mean, it can go either way because it's going to be up to the jury to decide what's reasonable doubt.
And soon they would have their verdict.